Yo,
What's up, man?
what's crack-a-lackin'?
Not a whole lot. I actually remember to start recording right at the start this time, so even if up, we can still pick it all up.
Is that a Georgetown hat?
Homestead Grays from the Negro Leagues.
I do know them.
Good old Josh Gibson,
Josh
baby.
Gibson. Yeah, that's what I was trying to come up with.
Yep.
So we got the Dungeon coming on. I'm excited.
The
One of my
Dungeon.
one of my favorite
I
dudes from
never
our
thought
area.
of that, but I want to make it his nickname
It's
now.
gotta be. How is it not, man?
Like, how do you? But what's the symbolism there? Like, what do you like?
You
You
know,
get sent to the torture dungeon?
well, it'd be cool if he played for Richwoods, being the Knights, and we could have a medieval theme. But yeah, there's not really a connection besides the nomenclature of his last name, possibly. But
Trendsetter, whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center, hit it dead center.
All right, folks, welcome back. Probably want to put on the ring light. Got to look pretty. Sorry, guys.
the glow stick light.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Even though I've got the natural light in the background, we gotta make it look good. So, welcome, folks, to the I believe 17th episode of Diggles Diamonds podcast. I'm not 100% sure on that, but
It's
uh,
up there. We're double
yeah, I
digits.
think the math works out. Uh, we are privileged to be joined today by two of the best junior members. That would be class of 2026 ball players in the state of Illinois. First up, joining us from Elgin Harvest Christian Academy. My goodness, is none other than left-handed pitcher Jameson Rapichuk, who I believe in the latest rankings is what, like somewhere in the 50s?
53.
Yeah, 53.
And
Yeah.
I'm assuming that our friend Drew Locascio got wind of your 12 strikeouts in 4 innings this week, because literally the next day is when the new rankings came out, and he had a nice baker's dozen jump from 66 to 53.
Yeah.
Good to see it, man. We've talked about you on the podcast before. Diggle and I both love your 3/4 arm slot, pumping it up at 90 plus. Um, just for you listeners, your season stats that I could gather so far: 13 and a third innings pitched this year, 26 Ks, 10 hits allowed. That's a nice start to the season, Jameson.
Yeah.
Um, can you talk a little bit about your arsenal, like what pitches you're using and when, and just
Mhm.
sort of your craft a little bit?
Yeah. So I have of course my four seam fastball. I have a two seam as well, and then slider and changeup. So like um four seam I always it's like always beginning of the count, like just get a strike and attack hitters. Two seam is more like if I'm looking for an outside pitch for a hitter to chase, it has a good amount of run to it. So it's like a good two strike fastball. Changeup, it's kind of it's also like two strike, but also my catcher he just calls it a lot just to make the hitter like see other pitches. So he's always like guessing up there. And then slider is big on lefties. I like to throw that a lot, just whenever I can.
Do you normally just do whatever? I believe your catcher's name is Mitchell, right? His last
Yeah,
name. Do you
yeah.
kind of just take his signs, like the theme in Bull Durham is like don't think, just do what your catcher tells you, or do you shake him off a little bit here and there?
I usually one of my pitching coach he calls it for Ben, and so I always just trust him. And I've only shaken him off like once I think this year, but nothing like I always like the calls that he gives. So
Yeah, he's a nice player heading to Lakeland, I believe.
yeah,
I noticed, just looking up your stats from last year compared to this year, your command has just, not that it was bad last year, but your command this year is just on point. Is that something that you've worked on in the off season, or did it just kind of naturally your control just sort of get a little bit better? Because you throw so hard, it's hard to to control where it's going sometimes when you're throwing
Yeah.
90 like you.
Yeah, it's just kind of, I never really worked on it, just kind of like getting mechanics, or cleaning up my mechanics, I think just helped like get everything closer to the plate. Because like last year I was just like really focused on like hip shoulder separation, but that didn't really help at all, and the ball would just sail away. And right now it's just kind of like keeping everything clean and connected. So
Yeah, I got to see you pitch this year, and then I've watched your team 3 times, but you're just looking electric, man. Very electric. Uh,
mhm.
I've talked with Coach DeShazer. His son plays for AHQ as does mine, so I've
Yeah.
had the good fortune to sort of chat with him over text and stuff. Can you just talk about his style as a coach? You know, watching him just from the sideline, I love his personality, his composure, his knowledge. Like,
Mhm.
what can you say about your coach, and how's your relationship with Coach Corey?
Yeah, well, Coach Corey is like really baseball smart. He coached Ryan Sloan's top tier team, and so he has like a lot of knowledge with like just baseball in general, and he knows like everything that's going on from like what the other like he looks at like the other team's IO and stuff like that, and he's like, we got to hit it like right side because their right side's kind of weak this game, whatever, or something like that. And he's just always like really mindful with just everything. And so this is my first year at Harvest. So I just transferred, and he's been like, he's really welcoming, like to me as a player. So it's really cool to see
Yeah,
that.
he's got an engaging personality,
Yeah.
and like you said, just a brain for baseball.
Hmm.
Um, I
Ja-
wanted to talk about. Go ahead, Ben.
Jameson, talk a little about the recruiting process so far. What's going on? How do you feel about it? Where are you kind of at in the process? Schools reaching out or no?
Yeah, I got a couple schools reaching out so far. Kind of like a couple D1s, stuff like that. But I'm kind of just waiting for like the summer to kind of go around with top tier. Hopefully get some schools out to some of my games and kind of just go from there. I just kind of have like a small list of schools, and then like
Okay.
we'll see how the summer goes and kind of like that.
Well, buddy, I'm going to tell you right now. I have a full scholarship for you at Illinois Central College. So if some of those D1s suddenly turn stupid or something and don't like what they see, just know there's a home for you in Peoria, Illinois, and we'll go tear shit up.
All right. Thanks.
Home of Jim Tomey, by the way. Jim Tomey got drafted out of Illinois Central. That's our claim to fame. Jameson, I live in Geneva, not far from. I think are you in Wheaton?
No, I live in Geneva too.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Oh, don't tell him that, Jameson. Don't give him
Uh
any more information.
oh. I'm
Don't give
coming
him any
over.
more information.
I'm coming
Yeah.
over with like 12 baseballs and a felt pen to get some
Yeah.
autographs. Never know. You just never know. Jameson, I'm in South Mill Creek, right by Fabian Grade School.
Hmm.
Oh boy, now we're getting all inside
Yeah.
baseball with your weird suburban addresses. Bentley's
Oh,
got like a Bentley. I swear to God, Bentley's address is in Russia. That's all I know. I try to
it's
send him
weird.
stuff. There's four different numbers, and
Jameson, my street address is 0 and then a lowercase letter S followed by 3 more numbers. And anytime I order something online, they're like, stop making up. Are you a robot? Is this for Russian order? What's going on here? But
Yeah.
enough about my strange address. Can you can you talk about one of my favorite other players on your team, Kyle Zeebel, your shortstop? I've seen you guys play thrice. That dude is not only fast with his feet, and I mean blurry
Yeah.
fast. His hands are so quick. I
Hmm.
saw him turn on 2 88-mile-an-hour fastballs from the Bradley commit, Kalen Scheider at Hampshire. He
Yeah.
turned them both right down the third base line. Could have
Hmm.
gone for 2 on 1, but was playing it safe. Didn't want to
Hmm.
run into the third out of the inning. can you tell me about, because you get to see him every day. Like, is this kid as good as I think he is?
Yeah, he's our leadoff hitter, and he's like 6'7" speed, like really fast, and like he just like he has good power, but I'm pretty sure he has the highest average on the team. He just uh like if he strikes out first at bat, he makes like a quick adjustment, and he'll be on for like the rest of the game, and he's like he'll swipe a bag like every single time too. And at shortstop, he also has like really good range, and then he has like a really good arm too. So it's good to have a shortstop like that on our team.
I saw him have a tough hop against, it was in Hampshire,
Hmm.
cold day, 38 degrees, wind
Yeah.
was flying. He took a tough hop, had an error. I swear it was two batters later, like two runners on and two outs.
Mhm.
And there's a line drive probably about 9.5 feet up, and he just elevates
Yeah.
and
I remember
smack
that
that
play.
thing out of the
Yeah.
air. And talk about forgetting about the play before and focusing on what's important, which is the next pitch.
Yeah.
He's got moxie,
Yeah.
not only in the field, not only on the bases, but like you said, up at the bat. He just looks as confident as any kid I've watched this year, all around. He's a special dude for sure.
Yeah.
Diggle, you got anything else? I'm out of questions for JMO.
I don't. I don't. We better get to RJ because I know he's missing lunch with his family for this. So, Jameson, I appreciate you coming on, bud. And I am
Yeah.
not kidding about that scholarship. Your school's
All
paid
right.
for from my perspective. I'll send you a little something to make that official. But if all these guys go dumb, just know that I stand ready to put you in Cougar Blue.
All right.
So
Thank you for coming on,
appreciate you
Jameson.
coming on, man. Really do. Glad to finally meet you in person and look forward to seeing you over these next couple years. All right.
Yep. Thanks for having me on.
All right.
Tell,
Take care,
tell
buddy.
Coach Corey we said hi. Thank you.
All right. Yeah.
All right, man.
Thank you.
And that brings us to one Ryan Duncheon Jr., who has unmuted and joined us from appears to be his father's car, I think. Did you leave the family inside the restaurant there, buddy?
Yeah.
How much trouble am I in with mom and dad?
Oh, none.
Well, folks, joining us is RJ Duncheon. He goes by RJ. And for those not familiar with RJ, he has had a heck of a last 9 months or so. Blew up last summer at a PBR showcase down in Peoria. Those of us that have known RJ for a long time were not the least bit surprised by that after he hit a ridiculous, 480 last year, I think? Something like that.
458.
458, that was it, with like 48 RBIs and 20 doubles, no triples, a little slow, but we'll forgive him. One triple, sorry. But then he jumped on the mound at a PBR showcase, ran it up to 92, earned himself a futures game invite, and went down there and ran it back up to 92. And before any of the hubbub could hit, he chose to follow the path that his mom and dad had set. Dad Ryan is the all-time home run leader at Illinois State University and a former MLB draft pick himself. And mom is one of the best softball players in Illinois State history, both of them enshrined in the ISU Athletics Hall of Fame. And so he decided he wanted to add his name to that list. And it wouldn't surprise me if little sis added her name to that list as well here before too long. So, RJ, I want to talk about Friday night. You guys had a little bit of a rough week. Split your Middle Line I series with Limestone. You guys picked up the win on Monday when you were throwing, and then kind of a tough luck loss on Wednesday. But you guys were looking forward to going down to Chatham-Glenwood on Friday. Talk a little bit about what kind of had you guys amped up for that game.
I think it's just being the fact that they're a ranked team and knowing that we can hang with anybody any day. That's just our biggest thing is we can hang with anybody any day, and whenever we play, we know that we can do what we're able to do.
Right, right. And you've gotten a little bit of bad luck recently, losing your running buddy Augie to the from pitching for the rest of the year with the shoulder issue. But talk a little bit about what because your class this is not a big senior class at EP. This is you've got Owen and Joe and Han and depending on some of the other moving parts on any given day, there might be another senior in the lineup, or there might not. But talk a little about your class. You, Augie, Jackson Aarons, Mason Watson, that bunch, and what kind of impact you're trying to have on this program.
Is that we're trying to make a big impact, but we're also trying to make everybody just as good as everybody else. Because if we have singular players, yeah, you can make singular players a good team, but a team that works together is unstoppable.
You just blew half the minds on this podcast. Like I just saw a puff of smoke out of Bentley's ears. That shouldn't be coming out of the mouth of a 16-year-old. But I love it. Talk a little about you yourself. What I wrote about this on Friday night. For those of you that don't know from around the area, I teach U.S. history at East Peoria High School, where RJ attends, and have known him since he was 8 years old. But I can kind of tell when RJ's feeling it. And Friday he was hanging around my desk at the end and said, "Man, I wish Appenzeller was throwing tonight," meaning Cameron Appenzeller, the Tennessee commit, who is, by all accounts, probably going to be a first-round draft pick here in a couple months. And you were feeling it Friday night, weren't you?
Yeah, I was feeling good. It was a it was a good day. Yeah, it was a good day.
Obviously, Glenwood is one of those teams. It's like you guys, where they just have talent at every position. They've got Appenzeller playing first, Dylan Huff. I saw him made a hell of a diving catch in center. And there's a whole line of them still coming up the pipeline, ready to go again. What does that do for you and your teammates? Like, what do you notice differently in your approach when you're about to play a team like that?
We have to be one. We have to be one as a team. We can't think anybody can do anything. We have to make the small things the big things, and that's what wins ball games.
I like it. I like it. Talk a little about your pitching this year. You've been on a hot streak. I don't think you've been below double-digit strikeouts yet in any of your starts. What's been going right for you?
Fastball slider has been a good combo for me this year. My catcher, Zach Hahn, he's been calling great games for me this year and able to trust my defense as well.
Yeah, your defense is pretty nice with it there. You go Owen at third, Owen Hidden, who's headed to Illinois Central College, Jackson Aarons, who's starting to get some Division I interest. Second base kind of depends on who's in the lineup and who's not, but Corbin Parker's been good there, and Augie at first. What does that take off your mind when you know the guys around you've been playing with them for so long, can trust them?
It doesn't make me feel like that I have to be a strikeout pitcher anymore.
Yeah,
that I can trust everybody, and I mean they're my guys, so.
Absolutely. Mr. Bentley, you got anything for young Ryan Jr.?
I do. First of all, a couple of my buddies played for Bradley at the same time as your dad, and I've heard some great stories how he terrorized the Missouri Valley as a Redbird, and I look forward to watching you do the same. Is Coach Steve Holm going to let you be a two-way? Has that been discussed? Is it just sort of up in the air?
Yeah, on Halloween, initially they really wanted me more towards the pitching side of it, but on Halloween they called me and said they want me as a truly two-way.
It's a smart decision by them, I think. I like how you remembered it was Halloween. That kind of call sticks in your head, man, especially on a holiday, of course. But yeah, I have yet to see you live, unfortunately, but I plan to. But boy, of course, everything Diggle says and all the numbers scream two-way D1 to me. So, it's been a pleasure to watch your stats from a distance, and I look forward to seeing you live and in person pretty soon.
Thank you.
Well, RJ, buddy, that's all we've got, man. Go eat lunch.
All right.
Where are you eating? We got to know. Is it Olive Garden?
That sounds really good right now. But I was talking with my dad on the way home, getting a double cheeseburger with an egg on it from Red Robin.
Oh, strong selection.
Nice. Strong to very strong. The old Royale. Gotta love it.
Yes.
Well done, young man. Well done. We salute you. Go get a bite of that burger.
All right. Thank you, guys. See ya.
All right, buddy.
Hey,
Thanks for stopping
RJ,
in.
nice meeting you.
See ya.
See you, RJ. That's two pretty good interviews, Mr. Bentley.
Love it. We've been doing well the last few episodes.
You know what? They always, the inclination is always to knock kids and these damn whippersnappers and futures in bad hands. But
yeah,
I'll be darned if these kids haven't proven they can hold their own.
We've talked about this topic before too. You put me on a podcast, or back in the day, it was Jim Madsen who would interview you after the game, who's literally still interviewing kids after the game. I think I would have just froze, and then maybe the adrenaline would have kicked in, and I would have like sputtered a fragment sentence or two, and then just been like, "My mom's calling, I gotta go," and just like dip off screen. I don't know if I could handle it. Maybe it's just me personally. I was just not mature. All these kids we talk to are articulate, intelligent, just mature. I just wasn't. So it's interesting to see how everybody we've had on here is so well spoken and composed.
I agree wholeheartedly. Well, let's talk about some other guys who opened their eyes this week, boss.
Yes.
What you got going north of the wall? I know you got to a couple games, including to see the human heater, Jack Bauer.
I'll have to lead with that. I feel like I got to go down to Tinley Park, Illinois, and luckily my mother-in-law lives about 4 minutes from Andrew High's ball field, because I had to drop off my daughter for an hour and 10-minute babysitting stint, and head on over to the ballpark to witness the talk of Illinois high school baseball.
Shoot, not just Illinois high school baseball.
I know, it's national.
He's the talk everywhere now.
And by the way, shout out to Beggar's Pizza, who fed my daughter, my mother-in-law, myself, and my brother-in-law post game. But very cheesy, very cheesy. You got to get used to it. But strong pizza, a little bit under the radar for Chicago pizza. Beggars, give it a shot. All right. So, Mr. Jack Bauer of Lincoln Way East. Bauer was Bauer. 3 innings pitched. That was the most I believe he's gone. Usually he was going 2 innings. It was about 42 degrees ish. I think the max he hit, according to the scout I was standing next to and chatting with, was 98.
Only 98.
Home 98. To the 102 in Georgia, 2 weeks ago. But
all that, by the way, all that does is prove how much warm weather impacts your throwing velocity.
So much.
And we've seen that. I mean, I can tell you anecdotally, every year that ICC goes down to Mississippi, you see the kids get off the bus, and instead of being like all hunched up against the cold, it's just like, oh yeah, this is great.
Your shoulders start to drop, literally, because you're used to holding them up here. That's why all of us up here have neck issues when you get older. But geez, man. So Bauer's Bauer, 3 innings pitch, 5 Ks. He gives up 1 hit, and boy, was it a hit. Shout out to Andrew's first baseman, Robbie Purcell, the Milliken commit. He took Mr. Bauer bye-bye, right center field. The crowd erupted. I felt like I was at kind of like a Division II rivalry game is what it felt like. I would guess there was north of 200, maybe 250 people in attendance. I counted maybe 4 to 6 scouts. You know, most of them are going to hide. They don't want you to know they're there or who.
Oh, they get out there. They just they're not going to wear all their.
They're not going to wear their Cardinals stuff.
Right.
They know the difference between my pocket radar gun and them having, you know, the $400 like sniper gun to check out Bauer's velo.
That's not a $400 gun, buddy. That's a $3,000 gun.
Oh my God! See, I was going to look into this. Now my dreams and hopes have been
those
dashed.
Pro 2S's run about $3,000.
All right, well, I'll start saving up or just take from one of my kids' college fund. So Lincoln Way East beats Andrew High. We had the Super Kendall brothers on last episode. They're Andrew High's two biggest studs, but it was Robbie Purcell, the first baseman, who took Jack Bauer yard to right center. I believe it was a 94-mile-an-hour fastball, a tad bit up, and he kept his hands in. I got to shout him out. Now, Lincoln Way East won that game 3-2 behind Casey McCroot and Ryan Pearson, who both had RBIs in that game. But my two ballers to highlight in that game are obviously Mr. Robbie Purcell, who goes yard off probably the 12th pick-ish in the draft. And I got to say, Andrew's southpaw went head-to-head with Mr. Bauer. Danny Moss, he was 78-82. He just nibbled the corners. He was like John Starks annoying with just hitting the call, which were strikes, but you could see the frustration. He was just nibble, every quadrant of the strike zone. And I got to believe when it's warmer, he's probably up to 84. I like this Danny Moss kid. So I got to shout him out from that game. Obviously, Bauer is the main attraction there, but what a game to be at. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Beggar's Pizza post game.
Nice. I made it out this week to beautiful. I swear it should be Jerry Ration Field. It never will be, but went to beautiful Peoria, Notre Dame to watch the host Irish, who were Class 2A super sectional qualifiers a year ago and had most of their team back. And they took on another upstart 2A team, Illinois Valley Central. And that did not turn out well. Unfortunately for Notre Dame, as we've had, the weather we've had for the last couple weeks, they found themselves playing 5 games in 5 days, and they did not have much in the way of arms left when they had 3 conference games out of those 5. So ended up a 22-1 game, which I've never seen a game like that at the high school level in my life. Usually if everybody shows up to one of those games, it's going to be a 4-3, 2-1, something like that. But kudos to Carl Sandberg recruit Griffin Landsberg. He got into one and sent it out on a rail. Gabe Perez, 2026. One of RJ Duncheon's teammates on the Central Illinois Canes bunch. Should be a pretty sought-after guy this weekend. We'll talk more about him here in a second, but he showed what he could do with the bat by also taking one out. It was just a good old-fashioned whipping, and the Notre Dame folks, to their credit, they just wore it. And the IVC kids, took advantage. So not quite the barn burner we hope, but IVC did pick up a big win on Saturday, which we'll talk about after we get to Mr. Bentley here. So what else you got up that way?
So I actually reversed course and headed down to see my mom and stepdad down your way. And I had a twofold purpose, maybe 3, I guess, really. I wanted to catch, every year I try to catch a Monmouth Scott game. They were playing at Illinois Wesleyan. And while I was there, of course, see the parents, see the family, but I was trying to go to a high school game, and I got to see Dunlap at Pekin with that new right field. I remember that hill. Boy, I didn't play right field, luckily. That was a rough one. And I do remember hearing about one of my buddies, Andy Kratz, for Peoria Notre Dame, who played at Lakeland. He had a tough go one game at Pekin, and Peoria Notre Dame lost a close one, pseudo because of a difficult play on that hill that he had to deal with.
So just to paint a picture for everybody here, Harry Anderson Field at Pekin High School used to have what would you think, 290, 300 to right?
Yeah, it was a short porch, but
Short
for
porch.
high school, not a super short,
Yeah.
I guess. It's not like Peoria Central in
But
left field.
this thing had some real obstacles in the outfield. In right field, extending into right center, you had a 20-foot hill that was in play with the fence at the top of the hill. So, if, think about it. You get a 290, 300-foot foul ball, or a fly out, rather. Usually that's pretty easy. A couple steps back, put your arm out, find the fence if you need to, but it's probably not close. Well, here you're hitting that full speed running back, and now all of a sudden you got to go up. There are legions of right fielders from the Peoria area who have face planted on that hill in years past. And
We're
then to
not
make
Walter Payton. We are not
Yeah.
all able to sprint up hills.
Yeah.
And this thing was ridiculous.
And then to get even weirder, they didn't curve the center field wall at Limestone, so it went out to a 90-degree angle where the scoreboard at 440 feet away from home plate was in play. Now, the only person that I know of to ever hit one over that is Johnny Sage, former Limestone standout who went to Bradley University. I'm sure others have done it, but not. It happens. It's like a once-in-a-generation thing. Or was. They've since redone the field. It's beautiful. They've done a very nice job, but it took away some of the character of the old joint.
Yeah, it looks good. Pekin's Field looks
Yeah.
good. Let me highlight a few people that I thought stood out. I got to see one of our former guests, Owen Schisler, on the mound, Illinois Wesleyan commit, currently ranked now in the top 300. Thank you, Drew Locascio, number 2.
That kid right now, that kid and Davis Weeks are almost single-handedly carrying that Dunlap bunch. They are going through some injuries right now in Dunlap. Jackson Tressenreiter hasn't thrown much. Ryder Renette, unfortunately, isn't going to be throwing much. They're talking to Stoney the other day, who, by the way, we should congratulate Eric Stone, the Dunlap head coach. 400th win that night. Yeah, absolutely. So kudos to Owen Schisler, man. He and Davis Weeks, the Michigan State recruit, are doing work right now.
And thanks to Coach Stone for coming over and chatting with me pre-game at that
nice
game. He gave me a little love. It was good to meet him in person. So back to Owen. Look, he's ranked 291. Drew Locascio, too low. Too low. Thank you for putting him in the top 300. He's still too low. He looked like a D2 guy to me. He's 84. It's raining. It's 43, this is Illinois in April. I did, one guy got to him, and of course it's your guy, Brady Bolin, hit a double off him. Other than that, Owen and Mechanicu were not really hittable for the Dragons. And my other favorite part of that game, I witnessed Dunlap's first baseman, Mr. Christian Ferrari, hit a ball off an alien spaceship into right field over the former hill. Compliments of Monmouth recruit Mason Hanvey, who really didn't pitch all that bad. He just ran into a really tough Dunlap team. Except for that bomb, I thought he pitched pretty well. While I was there, I ran into Mr. Andrew Tyra, and I wanted to give a shout out to his son Truman Tyra, who had a rough knee injury the last year or so. And that game on Wednesday was the first game he was able to dress. He overcame that difficult injury, returned to the diamond in Pekin, and got a walk in his first at bat. So congrats to you, Truman. His dad, Andrew, and I lived on the same floor at Monmouth College in the magnificent edifice that is Win-Bigler Hall. So shout out to Andrew Tyra. I came there to watch some baseball, saw some good stuff, but once Tyra Sr. and I started talking, it was hard to pay attention. A lot of reminiscing and nostalgia happening, but it was a cool game to be at. The rain was the rain, but it was still decent enough considering where we live. It was a good game to be at. And then, like I said, I headed down to jumped in the car in like the 5th inning, headed down to Illinois Wesleyan, and got to see my Monmouth Scots take on the Titans of Illinois Wesleyan. Little D3 action. I got to see Mr. Raul Guillermo, Monmouth's all-time career home runs and RBIs leader. He had a couple nice base hits, and I also got to see a freshman shortstop by the name of Hunter Wheat. And he's significant for a couple reasons. One, you don't see a lot of freshman shortstops starting, whether it's D3, D2, whatever.
Yeah.
But Hunter is the son of the greatest Monmouth Scott baseball player to live, Chris Wheat, who was drafted in 1990 by the Brewers. Shout out to both Chris and Hunter and Coach Paterni. To you fellas who think maybe I'll snub D3, even though I've got some good options, you might want to think again. You can get drafted out of D3 if you're good enough.
I talked to a fellow travel coach this weekend, Brian Furistic, who runs Chicago Elite, and we were talking about the recruiting state of affairs right now, and he flat out told me, he said, I am telling all my guys, you need to be looking at D2, JUCO, D3, and NAIA. It's just that's the state of affairs, and this is before the House settlement was supposed to pass on Monday. It's still in the works. It's been approved, a framework, but we haven't seen anything final yet. But we know this is going to completely turn college baseball on its head again.
Yep.
With some schools opting out, we don't know if that makes them in a kind of purgatory, almost like if you remember the old 1AA football, like the Western Eastern Illinois, ISU, those were Division 1AA.
Yep.
Is there the Power Four and then the 1AAs that did opt into the sharing, the revenue sharing? We don't know, but the bottom line is there's a lot of good small school baseball in the Midwest, and I think it's about to get even better as these kids realize that you're gonna have to spend some time somewhere. Maybe eventually you get a chance to go to one of those Power Four schools if you play well, but out of high school, it's looking rarer and rarer.
And back to that point with Owen Schisler going there, while I do think he's a Division II talented kid, boy, I was really impressed with Illinois Wesleyan's campus, their ball field, their ball team. So shout out to Coach Keller down there. What a cool area of Bloomington, and just a beautiful stadium that was.
Yeah.
Really, I had never seen it. I know your Rhinos play there.
Yep.
Wow. Awesome field. Awesome field. Cool
Yeah.
campus.
They have done some truly. My family has a long association going all the way back almost 100 years now with Illinois Wesleyan, and I grew up going to games at Titan Field and Fred Young Fieldhouse and all that stuff, and it just amazes me how beautiful all that stuff is when they built it and how well it's been upkept. Every time I step foot in the Shirk Center, I worry that it's going to be falling down. Same thing when I go to Hornberger Field, and man, they just do a great job of keeping those places at the cutting edge of everything. So kudos to, like you said, kudos to Mike Keller and former coach, the professor, Dennis. Oh my God, how did I forget his name? Oh my God, I can literally see his face right now. Dennis. Oh, this is embarrassing. Well, sorry.
Dennis Scott, Orlando Magic.
No, not
Dennis
D3.
the Menace.
Yeah. Golly, man,
It'll come to you. It'll come to you. I'll
gonna drive me
something.
Nuts. Yeah.
I'll let your brain think, and I'm going to move on real quick to just the fact that I had to notice Illinois Wesleyan's banner, 2011 D3 World Series champions.
Yep.
So young men out there, if you're on the fence about some stuff, I got to tell you, you go to a D3 World Series, you're gonna realize that this is special too. And
Yeah.
look, we all wanted to play D1. Of course we do. But there's options that are very cool out there. And Illinois Wesleyan, Monmouth College are a couple we've talked about a lot on the show, but those are two.
Well, and just to drive that home a little bit further, I had a young man who was a player on that national championship team, Nick Main from Limestone.
Okay.
And Nick was a good student, good ball player. Uh, Family didn't have the most money, and it worked out to where he paid $2,000 a year to get a degree from Illinois Wesleyan.
And that degree will serve him more than
I mean,
baseball ever will.
he's already made the return on investment on that a million times over. I bet. I mean, he's in real estate. The first house he sold was probably enough to recoup that investment. I mean,
Yeah.
so kudos to the Titans. It's always a pleasure to see them doing well. Coach Keller, I haven't forgot that you promised me a hat, by the way. I will
I
collect
want a
on that
hat
at some
too.
point.
I like those colors. I like that forest green.
The
Those
green and silver
uniforms.
gets you.
I mean, I have the alliance to the red and white Mon Muscats, but those green jerseys were pretty baller.
Yeah, they do a good job down there. Dennis Martell, there we go. Boom,
I
got
knew
it.
you'd come up. I knew it just needed some
Boom.
time. Little detachment.
Sorry, Coach. I know you're going to watch this, and I know it's going to get back to you, and I look forward to your phone call. But uh, anyway, another big game this week. Again, involving the Gray Ghosts of Illinois Valley Central High School. They headed down the road on Saturday, yesterday, to take on Monticello, a very good Monticello program that has produced a lot of high-level talent in the last couple of years with Luke Teschke going to Illinois State, one of the top arms in the state's 2024 class. And this year they have a top arm in the 2025 class, Ike Young, who is committed to Illinois. And they have Eli Kraft going to John A. Logan. They're just loaded. And the Ghosts went down there, and a young man who is starting to earn more varsity time, but is by no means a lineup regular, Noah Lusher, goes out and takes Ike Young deep to left center on a rail in front of about a half dozen pro scouts to put the Ghosts on top, and then TJ Dennison follows with an RBI single, and our good friend Cole Yates with a 2-run single to complete the scoring there as the Gray Ghosts knock off Monticello 4-0. So shout out to Noah Lusher. That was his first varsity home run off a guy that had a lot of radar guns there to suss him out. So huge win for the Gray Ghosts on Saturday. That was very cool. So
That's a great pitching matchup you got to see.
Yeah, and Gabe Perez against Ike Young. I mean, Gabe dealt it up too.
Yeah.
So,
awesome game to be in.
Yeah, 84 to 87. I think Gavin Smith from PBR was there and had that game and saw him at 84, 87. So
yeah, I saw his post on
Yep.
Twitter. Good
yeah,
stuff.
it was good.
I will shout out. I'll go north of the wall, back to where I belong.
You belong here. You tell Christy we're going to start a campaign. Move Dave Bentley home.
Nick Pisciata, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Nick.
I'm going to guess you're not.
Probably not. Wheaton North center fielder 2026. I'm glad I get a chance to shout this guy out for, it's more of really just one game, but I've been watching him for a while, following him in the fall, etc. Reached out, or had a friend reach out to his coach a little bit just to find out about the young man. He gave up football to focus on baseball, and dude, it's paying off. So let me highlight the game first, and then I'll hit the season stats, which are mind-boggling. So Friday, as in 2 days ago, April 11th, Wheaton North is playing Matea Valley in Aurora. Those of you Wayne's World fans, yes, that's the town where Gasworks and Stan Mikita's Donuts is located. Nick decided to go
Never done anything crazy in my life until that night. What makes him hit?
I like when Chris Farley's the bouncer at Gasworks.
Yeah.
So Nick has a 3-for-4 day against Matea Valley, 2 runs, 2 RBIs, a double, and a triple. Look, that sounds like, don't you have other highlights where guys are hitting 4 bombs in a game? We do. But I had to talk about Nick, and here's why. Here's the season stats. 16 hits. He's hitting 457, 11 runs, 10 RBIs, 3 doubles, 3 triples, 11 walks, 5 stolen bases. The dude is been on fire the whole season.
Nice. Yeah, that is those are no joke. That's yeah. You can't argue with that for sure.
I'm going to get out to see Nick, and I'm not even going to try to repronounce your last name, Nick, until I hear somebody say it at the game, and then I'll give it another shot. But I'll be out to see you soon, Nick. Wheaton North is very close to me, so congrats on your early success. We'll see you soon.
Very nice. Last guy I want to shout out also has an interesting last name, Drew Ludicky, or Ledecky. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. From Metamora. This guy just comes up big every time. He did it last year against Morton to hand Morton a loss, walked him off. He did it to Rock Island. He's done it to Washington last year, did it to him again this year on Wednesday. This kid might have the biggest clutch gene in the state. He just, man, when the Redbirds need it, he gets it done. So kudos to Drew Ledecky, or Ludicky. Again, not sure how to pronounce that. But he just keeps showing up for Metamora and keeps them in ball games. So kudos to Drew for putting the Redbirds on his back there a little bit.
I followed that name, and I was wondering how to pronounce it as
Yeah.
well. I can
Yeah.
co-sign the difficulty of that pronunciation.
There you go.
I got
There you go.
one. I got one more, and
As do I.
Okay. I'll go real quick. Mine is not quite north of the wall, but we are going to Kewanee, home of the famous Goods Furniture Store. Those of you from Central Illinois, you've seen those commercials. Don't pretend like you don't remember them. I'm going Class 1A shout out to Maddox Heitzler, shortstop, Anawan Weathersfield. I'm calling him Mad Maddox. He's another guy just like Nick from Wheaton North. I'm not going to try your last name, Nick. I'm going to shout out this game against Galva, but really the season stats is what I'm talking about. So Mad Maddox goes 4 for 4 with 4 runs, 4 BIs, and a steal against Galva. Nice day, you say, right? Okay. How about the season stats? 21 hits. He's hitting 512, 22 runs scored, 2 triples, a bomb, and 9 steals. He's been like white hot.
Yeah.
Jesus, this leadoff hitter is.
Yeah.
Woo.
Maddox Heitzler can play. He can play for sure. That is the back half of that co-op, the Weathersfield portion, has a incredible baseball history going all the way back. You got the Keene family. Pat Jr. is the head coach there right now. Kellen, his son, is a starting second baseman. Pat's brother, Nolan. You'll love this. I watched Nolan Keene, one of the best players in the area, when I took over as the baseball writer at the Peoria Journal-Star. They were like, hey, you got to go see Nolan Keene. He's potentially your player of the year. And so I go out to Chillicothe to see him. They come to town. And he goes back and catches a fly ball, and then he runs it all the way back into the infield. And so I asked one of the coaches, like, what's with Nolan running it back in? They go, oh, he's got a torn labrum, but he doesn't want to sit. Oh, and so this kid was able, this is what an athletic freak this kid was. He still played center, and every time he ran it down, he was so fast, he would run it back in. Even when there were like guys tagging, like he would run it as close as he could and then underhand it to the shortstop for like the relay.
I saw that happen in a 9-year-old house league game. Shout out to Andrew Spring of Geneva. But I have never heard of that.
It was
high school level.
He put on a heck of a performance that day. Unfortunately, we lost Nolan to brain cancer while he was at Missouri State University. But just to give you an idea of the impact that Nolan had on his teammates, there were he played with Oh, there were a bunch of big leaguers. Brad Ziegler, Ryan Howard, and all those dudes. When they found out that Nolan was sick, they dropped everything and came back and put together a benefit for him. So, just an incredible player. Also coming out of Wethersfield, Trey Hannum, who is, in my opinion, one of the best hitting coaches in the world right now. Uh, also,
future guest on the pod. Trey.
Yeah, and also Colton Quagliano, who is in the midst of his third year starting at the University of Illinois after a year at Illinois Central College. So Wethersfield pumps out some good ball players, and Maddox Heitzler is definitely no exception there for sure.
That's a good team they have there. You already gave some love to Kellen Keene, Nick Thurston, Cohen DeClerc, not kin. Mr. DeClerc is not quite kin, not the same spelling as Andrew DeClerc of the Final Four Florida Gators basketball team in 1994, for those of you hoops junkies. But I did notice that last
replaced
name.
Dwayne Schnitzness.
I immediately thought of Mr. DeClerc from that 94 final. It was Kruger the coach of that Florida basketball team? Yeah, Lon Kruger, U of I.
Yep.
So also Mr. Maddox Heitzler's brother is currently raking at Joliet Junior College. I think he's hitting like 356 with 7 doubles.
Yeah.
He's a sophomore looking for a home, I assume. So those of you 4-year schools out there, we've got some brotherly love.
Yeah.
Take a gander at the older brother.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, last guy for me is a young man from Deer Creek Mackinac High School named Drew Swadinsky. Had a massive game on Saturday, 4 for 4, 5 RBIs, all part of a week in which he goes 7 for 17, 3 doubles, a home run, and 9 RBIs on the week. So shout out for Drew Swadinsky. He's helping the Chiefs and their head coach Clinton Stroud get back on track. And it's been a good week for Drew. So there we go.
I followed him as well. Just on the interwebs. Nice ball player. Really nice ball player there.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Bentley, that's all I've got, buddy.
That's all I've got. 2 great guests again.
Yeah.
As you folks might notice, we're actually recording in the daylight here, so very unusual. Usually it's after my kids go to bed. And speaking of kids, shout out to my son Gavin, who got bit by a dog 2 hours ago, and I almost had to cancel our recording, but he's doing quite well. I learned you don't give them the rabies shot anymore unless the dog is known to have rabies, because I was literally about to call you, Diggle, at like 1:30.
No, they're still supposed to get the rabies shot, buddy.
Okay, well, thanks then. Dr. Diggle to the rescue. Because
wait, are you talking about the dog or the kid?
The kid.
Okay, yeah, no, don't give the kid the rabies shot. No. All dogs
I
are
thought
supposed
there was
to have
some
those,
like
though.
inoculation. Christy calls me and I'm like, take him to the ER right now. They got to give him this huge syringe. She's like, dude, I don't think they do that anymore. I'm like, just do it anyway. Gavin survived. He's alive.
Nice. He's a tough one.
He will be at baseball practice tomorrow, Coach Tim Grant.
There you go. That's a gamer right there. Gets bit by a dog. That's a sign of greatness. Cole Yates, my dog, tried to eat his face when he was 8 months old.
I'm trying not to laugh. By the way, can we give Cole Yates the nickname Coleslaw?
How about just Slaw?
Slaw. Okay. I feel like we're talking about him enough. We got to give him a pseudonym, and Coleslaw just feels like it works.
He's going to hate it. I love it.
He is going to hate it. He's definitely going to hate it.
And his dad will love it too.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. Well, folks, we appreciate you joining us. Hopefully you'll join us next week. But